The flashy, high-profile image of the corporate elite has been dying out. We don't buy perfect anymore. We don't trust perfect. We see through the smoke and mirrors. The brands that inspire us today are the brands that are just like us, human. Inspiration story, establishing a human connection. When your brand tells a good story, you stir within your ideal individual a desire to live into a greater future that your brand is promising to provide. Hey everyone, this is Canon Wing from Inspiration to Millions. The secret to good storytelling lies within the construct of the hero's journey. We're all, even in this very moment, at some stage of our own hero's journey. This is the secret to good storytelling because it's an inescapable, universal truth for all beings. The hero's journey never ends. Once one journey is completed, the next journey begins. When you understand the arc of your own hero's journey and you tell your story honestly, vulnerably, exposing every crack in your own human frailty and openly expressing every resistance in your own human nature, you inspire ideal individuals to recognize where they are in their own hero's journey. Inspiring your ideal individuals to get honest about where they are on the path to a greater future brings them peace of mind. It lets them know they aren't alone and that it isn't too late. Others who walked this path before them met with the same trials and challenges and stumbled over the same obstacles, struggled with the moments of doubt and fear, and they still made it through. A good story ignites a fire in the heart that says, if the hero in this story can face the same struggles and challenges I do, and still persevere, still come out the other side victorious, transformed, renewed, then so can I. We don't trust perfect people because we know perfect people don't exist. The professional voice, the corporate elite, has been dying out since the 80s. To reach today's consumers, make your inspiration story human. Make it trustworthy. Tell your story truthfully, with sincerity, and your brand will be trusted by the people you inspire. There is no peace without speaking our truth, yet so few brands do. Your brand story told truthfully frees the truth hiding under the tongues of everyone who hears you. Everyone. How's that for target marketing? Your ideal individual, armed with the experience, strength, and hope shared through your brand story, will be compelled to live into their own story and seek out their own amazing results, their own greater future by joining your brand. From early childhood, we've always been pulled in by a good story, right? Come here, let me tell you a story. Now compare that to, come here, let me tell you some facts. Okay, first of all, snore. The story is what makes your brand memorable. If you teach people through story, they learn by living into the story for themselves. The most powerful way to teach is through story. We're all conditioned to lean in when a good story is being told. It's ingrained in us from a very young age. When we're all so new to life, our main source of information is listening to the experience of those who came before us. We listen to a compelling story like our lives may one day depend on it. We take the words of a story and within our minds give them vibrant shape and form. We place ourselves in the middle of the action. We imagine the colors vividly. We taste the bitter and the sweet along the way. Our hearts rise and fall. We follow along inside our own minds. This is what makes storytelling so memorable. We are all on our own hero's journey, and a good story can touch anybody. So there are 4 main types of brand storytelling. They are inspirational story, lesson learned story, origin story, and a case study story. You don't have to choose just one for your brand. A good story is always in high demand. For today's episode, we're going to put the spotlight on inspiration story. We'll take an in-depth look at how a current rock star brand has nailed inspiration storytelling and how their hero's journey has inspired millions to join them on the path to their own greater future, propelling them toward turning them into brand loyalists. No matter what business you're in, brand loyalty is always your business plan. Inspiration stories are about that pivotal moment in life when you double down and said, I'm not doing this for the money, I'm doing this for the greater good. I was made for this and I'm going to do it no matter what because it will help other people live a better life. Inspiration stories go into that great detail about the risks and the trials faced along the quest to having a greater future, promised by your brand. Nothing is sugar-coated because it would do a disservice to your community to hide from them that you too face the same fears, doubts, and struggles that they are contending with now. Nothing needs to be sugar-coated because we already know there's a happy ending. You completed your hero's journey. You've now returned to the village with the promise that you can show us how to get there too, and a lot easier and more quickly than you did because you've already lit the way. So no matter what business you're in, your ideal individuals will relate and be stirred to act when they hear the hero's journey in your brand story. So what exactly is the hero's journey? The hero's journey is a concept that is best explained by the writer Joseph Campbell, who broke it down into 12 observable story beats. It's not only the story arc of every hero ever written, but it's also the story arc for every journey of self-discovery and personal transformation ever lived. The 12 story beats of the hero's journey are the shining achievement of Joseph Campbell's writing career and the mandate, the mantra, the mechanisms of Pixar's writing team. Disney just bought Pixar for over $7 billion, so it works. You can't place a cap on the value of inspiration. That's the power of great storytelling. The immortal truth is that all great storytelling is the hero's journey because we're all living the same story beats of that journey. Every one of us is on the same journey. Old, young, rich, poor, stubborn, spiritual, ignorant, or enlightened. Those brand wise enough to see the hero's journey in everything they do, in the good or bad things they've faced, can relate masterfully with anyone. Sound good? To get yours underway, I'm going to provide you with the blueprint for your brand's inspiration story so you can come out of nowhere and become an inspiration to millions. They are the hero's journey in 3 acts. Act 1 is the call to adventure. Act 2, the journey. And Act 3 is answering the call. So first, let's talk about SoulCycle and how they are nailing inspiration story using the hero's journey. SoulCycle, stripped to its bare bones, is a group cycling class. But when you add their brand's inspiration story, you have a transcendent tribal experience that people are willing to pay as much as some monthly gym memberships cost just to take one 45-minute class. You can't place a cap on the value of inspiration. Their community of brand loyalists continue to grow and thrive, and more people are inspired to become a hero in their own SoulCycle journey. The first bullseye that SoulCycle has nailed right from the get-go is naming their ideal individual as the hero of the story. The walls are covered with words like warrior, leader, all of these heroic and exciting identities for members to grow into. Whatever story your brand tells, the customer is always the hero. It's an amateur mistake many new companies make to name their brand as the hero in the story. If anything, the brand is the mentor or the wise sage who stands at the gate, the guiding light that points the way, a critical juncture in the hero's journey. Make your customer the hero in your brand story, and there's no cap on how many different ways your customers can feel inspired. When your customer is the hero instead of the brand, there's no longer one hero, one story. Instead, you have a whole community of heroes, brand loyalists, who each have an inspiration story unique to them that attributes your brand for their transformation. So word-of-mouth advertising is 50 times more effective than any other form of advertising, and it's free, by the way. So let's look more closely at SoulCycle's inspiration story. SoulCycle wasn't founded by exercise or fitness experts. It was founded by 2 women who got together for lunch one afternoon and found themselves unexpectedly thrust into their pivotal moment. Almost every hero's journey begins with this problem to be solved, a foe to be faced down, or a threat to eliminate, a service to be done to our fellow humans, to better the lives of all who face the same challenge. So what started out as a friendly conversation over lunch quickly revealed itself as a powerful call to action. A Los Angeles talent agent manager, Julie Rice, and a real estate agent, Elizabeth Cutler, are just meeting for the first time. Rice is feeling burned out from a long, crazy work hours and shares about how one of her only respites is the hikes she takes with a group of friends. She told Cutler that these hikes showed her that, exercise could be social, communal, and fun. She shared that she sought out experiences about exercise that are like this, that she could structure around her demanding work schedule, but there was just nothing to be found. And Cutler agreed. She added she enjoyed the communal and spiritual practice of yoga, but needed something more cardio-based because yoga classes weren't quite enough to take off her excess baby weight. By the end of the first lunch date, the two women were convinced they had discovered a need that many people had that wasn't being met. They formed a plan, and their journey was set into motion. Rice states that for both women, the most important thing was, how could we bring pride and joy and empowerment to people in a way that felt like fun and social and chic and aspirational? Both women, fueled by pure inspiration, set out together on their hero's journey to create a whole new experience in group fitness. They were met with doubts and discouragement. Rice says there's not a person who thought this was a good idea. These women set out to create a greater future no matter what the risks. They knew that this is what they were made for. They quit their careers and poured all of their time and entrepreneurial experience into launching SoulCycle. This was in 2006. Today, both women are retired, having sold SoulCycle for $90 million. Their hero's journey is built right into the SoulCycle experience, and their brand community goes a little further on that journey every time they take a class. From the moment the customer walks through the door for the first time, feeling like nervous and maybe a bit intimidated, I've been there, to the moment they celebrate their 20th ride with an entire room full of advocates, like cheering them on, keeping them going, keeping them rolling, getting them stronger. SoulCycle isn't selling spin classes. SoulCycle is selling inspiration itself. And like all great stories, it began with a call to action, a call to contribute something greater towards the greater good. What I just briefly told you about was the hero's journey of these two entrepreneurs who created SoulCycle. But that isn't the inspiration story of SoulCycle. It's the inspiration story of every customer who walks through their door, because the hero in that story is the customer. The mentor is the brand, because these two women were the first to live into this greater future, this transformed reality, by being the first to brave the hero's journey provided by that SoulCycle experience. The result? One customer is inspired to get back in shape after having a baby. Another is inspired to meet new people. Another is inspired to go back to school and finish their degree. Another is inspired to quit an unfulfilling job. Another is inspired to devote more time to charity work. Another person is inspired to live each day like it was their last. The effects of an inspiration story that names the customer as the hero transcends far beyond what the limits of whatever service or product or brand is providing. There is no cap on the value of inspiration. Here's the blueprint for your brand's inspiration story. We start with the first act of the hero's journey, the call to adventure, where we find our hero before joining our brand. Perhaps they find themselves restless or disenchanted with their options. Maybe they're dealing with an ongoing issue that your brand promise can resolve. This is where you offer your ideal individuals an experience that can transform reality. What is life like for your ideal individuals before encountering your brand? To answer this question for an inspiration story, ask yourself, how has my reality been forever transformed as a result of my hero's journey of building my brand? You are the mentor. You've walked the path, and now you're returning to the village with the secret ingredient, the magic elixir, the master key. Let them see what rewards you've reaped, what transformations you've made from having undertaken your hero's journey. This brings us to Act 2, the journey itself, which is where you can share honestly about those risks and challenges you had to overcome to reach a transformation. And just like all great journeys, there will be obstacles to overcome along the way. Your ideal individuals will hear that call to action when your brand offers them an experience that transforms reality. The first thoughts in the hero's mind, once they've heard their call to action, there are thoughts of possibility, like maybe this transformation can be true for me too. Or wouldn't it be incredible if? Or the first thoughts are filled with like hope and excitement. There's a stage within Act 2 of the hero's journey that's referred to as refusing the call. This is the part of the process where those thoughts immediately following the hopeful ones I just talked about become filled with the yeah buts. In branding, these yeah buts are the obstacles to buy. Like, but I'm too old or too young or not strong enough or too busy or I don't have enough money or I don't have enough energy. This is a natural part of the process, and this is where your brand steps in as the mentor in your ideal individual's hero's journey. As vulnerabilities arise, your ideal individual's minds about whether or not they can successfully live into their own hero's journey through your brand, you can bring them peace of mind by acknowledging your own vulnerabilities when you embarked upon the same journey. Show them your struggles, your doubts, your fears. Show them how you overcame them, and they can do just the same. For those who feel this is too private, you can use one of your best case studies, your clients' stories. Get permission, even if you want to change their names and details. It's best to get permission. So when facing the vulnerability of joining SoulCycle, the obstacles are many. I'm not good enough. I'm not in good enough shape. It's too expensive. What will other people think? These vulnerabilities are all addressed when you review the inspiration stories of the people who already love SoulCycle. Stories featuring people of all ages, all size, all brackets of income, and in terms of what others may think, well, just remember that when the founders were getting started, there wasn't a person who thought this was a good idea. And now those women are healthy, wealthy, and retired. Inspiration spreads across every aspect of our lives. Isn't it inspiring to hear that even though no one fully supported the idea of SoulCycle, these women pressed onward and proved everyone wrong? The personal value of an inspirational share like that doesn't have to be exercise related at all. Anyone with any big idea that isn't getting a lot of support can take that story and be inspired to carry on with their own personal vision. Is it inspiring you? Because there is no cap on the value of inspiration. The benefit of having carved the path first, to having stumbled and crawled, is you get to bring your experience back to the village and share how they can get the transformation more easily because you've already braved the unknown abyss and returned victorious. Which brings us to Act 3, answering the call. This is where you show them how your brand can help them receive the transformation faster and more easily because of your experience, and they overcome their obstacles to buy. The third act in the hero's journey is where your brand plays the most vital role of mentor to your ideal individual. The third act is where our hero overcomes the obstacles and returns victorious themselves. The third act is the beginning of the greater future your hero has stepped into by choosing your brand. In the beginning of the journey, we see the hero's human side, the desire for something more or better or greater. The fear of the change, the unknown, the failure or disappointment, the obstacles created in the mind to try to protect us from danger by never stepping outside our comfort zones. This is where your brand steps in and says, you were made for this. I know this transformation is possible for you because I did it myself. And most importantly, now that I've returned, I know a few handy shortcuts, and my experience will give you an advantage. Your experience with building your brand from an inspiration story arc will serve as the mentorship, the proof, the inspiration for your ideal individuals to answer the call of their own hero's journey with your brand. Do you know what the 3 acts look like for your ideal individual? Let's recap them now. Act 1, the call to adventure. Act 2, the journey. Act 3, answering the call. Do this today. Ask yourself, what is life like for your ideal individuals before they even see your brand? What is their life like once they take that first step into becoming a member of your brand's community? That's Act 1. Act 2 is, what is their life like when they are thriving because your products and services? And in Act 3, what is life like now that they are sharing your brand promise with everyone they know and love? Diagram their hero's journey. Start by reflecting on what was your pivotal moment, the moment you decided that the world needed your idea, your brand, to help them transform some aspect of their reality. The moment when you took the risk and became willing to brave the unknown, come what may, so that your brand might make its contribution to the greater good. Identifying the 3 acts of your hero's journey and sharing it honestly will inspire your ideal individuals to live into your brand's journey for themselves. Thank you so much for joining me today as we move ever courageously through the stages of our own personal hero's journeys. Make your customers the hero of your brand's inspiration story. But never forget that you are always the hero in your own personal journey, a hero that was made for bigger and better things. And every step of the way, no matter what may await you on the path, always remember to love what you do and love how you do it. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on a single thing. Subscribe below. And here's something else I think you'll love.